All right. Well, I think we can get started. If anyone else shows up late, I'll bring them in. But again, thank you so much for being here. My name is Nathan Agan. I am the host and producer of The Working Actor's Journey. And over the last year, we started doing these workshops, and they've evolved into different formats and structures. And this is another experiment in that vein. So what you're going to see tonight is what we've been calling Repertory. And it's been one company of actors. It's a bit of a take on repertory theater with some, modifications. So it's one company of 6 actors, and they have been working on 4 different scenes from Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. And they've been working on 2 scenes with one director and 2 scenes with another director, which is the Thursday session, if you attend for that. And the actors have been playing all different parts within those 4 scenes. So it gives a little bit of a feel as an actor, what it would be like to work with other actors in a different context, to work with directors on, different material, but in this case, the same material. So you get different perspectives, different ways of looking at it. And it's been really exciting for me to kind of sit in and observe and hear the process as they've been exploring these scenes quite in depth over the past 6 weeks. As I've said in our previous sections where we've done one scene over 4 weeks, and this is 4 scenes over 7 weeks, this is a luxury for all the artists. We've also had dramaturgs and voice coaches involved, and to have this amount of time to work on the material has just been phenomenal. And I was just joking that I figured at maybe week 3 or 4, everybody would get tired and there would be nothing else to talk about. And I wouldn't be surprised if they could probably go another couple weeks, working on these scenes. They're that rich, and there's that much to be explored. So that's about it from what I wanted to say. If you have questions as we're going along, there's something you want to know about, the rehearsal process or how they worked on a particular moment, feel free to add those in the chat box on Zoom, and I will collect those and we'll have a little bit of a Q&A section at the very end. But you're going to see, a couple scenes tonight, as the actors, the company, the director work on that. And I will tease that at the very end, I have an exciting announcement about what is coming up next, kind of the next program that we're going to be doing as part of all these online things. So I hope you stick around for that, to hear about that. But again, that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to the director for the Monday sessions, Elizabeth Swain. And thank you very much, Liz.
Thank you. Thank you, Nathan. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I've been told I should probably clue you in on what has happened in the play so far, because everybody doesn't necessarily know Twelfth Night backwards. So a young woman called Viola has been separated from her twin brother in a terrible shipwreck. She lands in Illyria. She disguises herself as a boy called Cesario and now works for Duke Orsino, who happens to be besotted with a woman called Olivia, Countess Olivia. She rejects him because she is in deep mourning for her brother and her father, which she plans to do for 7 years. So you can see she's really pulling a number here. Viola's job is to woo Olivia on Orsino's behalf. Meanwhile, she is falling totally in love with Orsino herself, but dutifully goes to woo Olivia, who becomes totally besotted with her, believing her to be a boy, Cesario. Viola, when in the scene we're going to see now, Viola is on her way to her second meeting with Olivia. And, perhaps, and on her way, she bumps into Feste. Feste is Olivia's court jester, fool. He sings a lot. He's very musical. And he seems to do a little moonlighting, because she's also seen him at Orsino's court. So anyway, they have this encounter while she's on her way. We will also in this section meet Sir Toby Belch, who is Olivia's uncle, and he has a friend called Sir Andrew Aguecheek. He is also a wooer, would-be wooer of Olivia. Not much hope of that happening, but you'll see. So now let's begin. This is actually Act 3, Scene 1. So let's have the actors on, and they're going to, by the way, they'll be playing different parts in the next scene. So so don't get muddled. We have to get them to introduce themselves and who they're playing in this part of the scene. Hi, go ahead. I'll say who because you'll muddle. Garrett, tell everyone who you are.
I'll be playing Feste in this first scene.
Okay, Sara.
I'm playing Viola in this scene, disguised as Cesario.
Michele. You're on mute, which won't be good.
I'm playing Lady Olivia.
Jamal.
Jamal Douglas reading for Sir Toby.
And Janet.
I'm Janet Greaves, and I'm reading Sir Andrew Aguecheek.
Terrific. So anytime you want to go, you're on. I will go away.
Save thee, friend, and thy music. Dost thou live by thy tabor?
No, sir, I live by the church.
Art thou a churchman?
Such matters, sir. I do live by the church, for I do live at my house, and my house doth stand by the church.
So thou mayst say the king lies by a beggar, if a beggar dwell near him, or the church stands by thy tabor, if thy tabor stand by the church.
You have said, sir. To see this age, a sentence is but a cheverel glove to a good wit. How quickly the wrong side may be turned outward.
Nay, that's certain. They that dally nicely with words may quickly make them wanton.
I would therefore my sister had had no name, sir.
Why, man?
Why, sir, her name's a word, and to dally with that word might make my sister wanton. But indeed, words are very rascals, since bonds disgrace them.
By reason, man?
Troth, sir, I can yield you none without words, and words are grown so false I'm loath to prove reason with them.
I warrant thou art a merry fellow, and carest for nothing.
Not so, sir, I do care for something. But in my conscience, sir, I do not care for you, if that be to care for nothing, sir. I would it would make you invisible.
Art not thou the Lady Olivia's fool?
No, indeed, sir. The Lady Olivia has no folly. She will keep no fool, sir, till she be married, and fools are as like husbands as pilchers are to herrings. The husband's the bigger. I am indeed not her fool, but her corrupter of words.
I saw thee late at the Count Orsino's.
Foolery, sir, does walk about the orb like the sun. It shines everywhere. I would be sorry, sir, but the fool should be as oft with your master as with my mistress. I think I saw your wisdom there.
Nay, and now pass upon me. I'll no more of thee. Hold. There's expenses for thee.
Now, Jove, and his next commodity of hair, send thee a beard.
By my troth, I'll tell thee, I am almost sick for one, though I would not have it grow on my chin. Is thy lady within?
Would not a pair of these have bread, sir?
Yes, being kept together and put to use.
I would play Lord Pandarus of Phrygia, sir, to bring a Cressida to this Troilus.
I understand you, sir. 'Tis well begged.
The matter, I hope, is not great, sir. Begging but a beggar. Cressida was a beggar. Huh. My lady is within, sir. I will conster to them whence you come. Who you are and what you would are out of my welcome. I might say element, but the word is overworn.
This fellow is wise enough to play the fool, and to do that well craves a kind of wit. He must observe their mood on whom he jests, the quality of the persons, and the time, and like the haggard, check at every feather that comes before his eye. This is a practice as full of labor as a wise man's art. For folly that he wisely shows is fit, but wise men, folly fallen, quite taint their wit. Oh,
Save you, gentlemen.
And you, sir.
Tu vous gardez, monsieur?
Et vous aussi, votre serviteur.
I hope, sir, you are, and I am yours.
Will you encounter the house? My niece is desirous you should enter, if your trade be to her.
I am bound to your niece, sir. I mean, she is the list of my voyage.
Taste your legs, sir. Put them to motion.
My legs better do understand me, sir, than I understand what you mean by bidding me taste my legs.
I mean to go, sir, to enter.
I will answer you with gate and entrance. Oh, but we are prevented. Most excellent, accomplished lady, the heavens rain odors on you.
That youth's a rare courtier. Rain odors.
My
Wow.
matter hath no voice, lady, but to your most pregnant and vouchsafed ear.
Odors pregnant and vouchsafed. I'll get 'em all three already.
Let the garden door be shut and leave me to my hearing. Give me your hand, sir.
My duty, madam, and most humble service.
What is your name?
Cesario is your servant's name, fair princess?
My servant, sir. 'Twas never merry world since lowly feigning was called compliment. Your servant to the Count Orsino, youth.
And he is yours, and his must needs be yours. Your servant's servant is your servant, madam.
For him, I think not on him. For his thoughts, would they were blanks rather than filled with me.
Madam, I come to whet your gentle thoughts on his behalf.
Ah, by your leave, I pray you, I bade you never speak again of him. But would you undertake another suit? I had rather hear you to solicit that than music from the spheres.
Dear lady.
Give me leave, beseech you. I did send, after the last enchantment you did hear, a ring in chase of you. So did I abuse myself, my servant, and I fear me you. Under your hard construction must I sit, to force that on you in a shameful cunning which you knew none of yours. What might you think? Have you not set mine honor at the stake and baited it with all the unmuzzled thoughts the tyrannous heart can think? To one of your receiving, enough is shown. A cypress, not a bosom, hides my heart. So let me hear you speak.
I pity you.
That's a degree to love.
No, not a grise, for 'tis vulgar proof that very oft we pity enemies.
Why then, methinks 'tis time to smile again. O world, how apt the poor are to be proud. If one should be a prey, how much the better to fall before the lion than the wolf. The clock upbraids me with the waste of time. Be not afraid, good youth, I will not have you. And yet, when wit and youth is come to harvest, your wife is like to reap a proper man. There lies your way, due west.
Then westward ho! Grace and good disposition attend your ladyship. You'll nothing, madam, to my lord by me?
Stay, I prithee, tell me what thou thinkst of me.
That you do think you are not what you are.
If I think so, I think the same of you.
Then you think right. I am not what I am.
I would you were as I would have you be.
Would it be better, madam, than I am? I wish it might, for now I am your fool.
Oh, what a deal of scorn looks beautiful in the contempt and anger of his lip. A murderous guilt shows not itself more soon than love that would seem hid. Love's night is noon. Cesario, by the roses of the spring, by maidhood, honor, truth, and everything. I love thee so that maugre all thy pride, nor wit nor reason can my passion hide. Do not extort thy reasons from this clause, for that I woo, thou therefore hast no cause. But rather reason thus, with reason fetter. Love sought is good, but given unsought is better.
By my innocence, I swear, and by my youth, I have one heart, one bosom, and one truth, and that no woman has. Nor never none shall mistress be of it, save I alone. And so adieu, good madam, nevermore will I my master's tears to you deplore.
Yet come again, for thou perhaps mayst move that heart which now abhors to like his love.
That's the scene. Okay, so take a breather and then we'll switch characters. We're doing a lot of character switching now. I don't think you don't want notes now, do you? Of course you don't. So let's do the next scene. So the next scene it's very soon after. The main thing that has happened before this scene takes place is that they have really sorted out that you need to know that there has been a letter that was supposedly sent by Olivia for Malvolio to pick up, which he did. And he believes it's from Olivia. Of course, it's not. It was written by Maria. And he believes from this letter that his future is now going to be with Olivia. So we have that with the result of that. And then because Sir Andrew has overheard that this young man, Cesario, is wooing Olivia, he completely gets that wrong too. He writes a challenge to a duel to him. So that is what's going to also come up in this section we're going to see now. So who's playing what? Tell us. So Erica, who are you playing?
I will be playing Mariah.
Okay. And Michele, who are you playing this time?
And this time I'm playing Viola.
Yeah, so don't be confused. And so Sara, who are you playing?
I've swapped with Michele, and now I am playing Olivia.
Okay, so again, don't be confused. Garrett, who are you playing?
I will be playing Fabian.
Okay. And Jamal?
I'm the same old guy, Sir Toby.
Okay. And Janet?
I'm playing Malvolio.
As well as?
Sir Andrew, of course, yeah.
You're doing a double act.
The same scene,
double
right?
act here, yeah. Oh, they're very versatile. This is wonderful. Okay, are you ready to plunge in?
Let's plunge, people.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's plunge.
I have sent after him. He says he'll come. How shall I feast him? What bestow of him? For youth is bought more often begged or borrowed. I speak too loud. Where's Malvolio? He is sad and civil and suits well for a servant with my fortunes. Where's Malvolio?
He's coming, madam, but in very strange manner. He is sure possessed, madam.
Why, what's the matter? Does he rave?
No, madam, he does nothing but smile. Your ladyship were best to have some guard about you if he come, for sure the man is tainted in his wits.
Go call him hither. I am as mad as he, if sad and merry madness equal be. How now, Malvolio?
sweet lady. Ho, ho.
Smilest thou? I sent for thee upon a sad occasion.
Sad lady? It could be sad. This does make some obstruction of the blood, this cross-gartering. But what of that? If it please the eye of one, it is with me as the very true sonnet is. Please one, and please all.
Why, how dost thou, man? What is the matter with thee?
Not black in my mind, though yellow in my legs. It did come to his hand, and command shall be executed. I think we do know the sweet Roman hand.
Wilt thou go to bed, Malvolio?
To bed? Ay, sweetheart, and I'll come to thee.
God comfort thee! Why dost thou smile so, and kiss thy hand so oft?
How do you, Malvolio?
At your request, yes, nightingales answer doors.
Why appear you with this ridiculous boldness before my lady?
Be not afraid of greatness. 'Twas well writ.
What meanst thou by that, Malvolio?
Some are born great,
Huh?
some achieve greatness,
What sayest thou?
and some have greatness thrust upon them.
Oh, heaven restore thee!
Remember who commended thy yellow stockings,
Thy yellow stockings?
and wished to see thee cross-gartered.
Cross-gartered?
Go to, thou art made if thou desirest to be so.
Am I made?
If not, let me see thee a servant still.
Why, this is very midsummer madness.
Madam, the young gentleman of the Count Orsino's is returned. I could hardly entreat him back. He attends your ladyship's pleasure.
I'll come to him. Good Maria, let this fellow be looked to. Where's my cousin Toby? Yeah, let some of my people have a special care of him. I would not have him miscarry for the half of my dowry.
Oh, do you come near me now? No worse man than Sir Toby to look to me. This concurs directly with the letter. She sends him on purpose that I may appear stubborn to him, for she incites me to that in the letter. Cast thy humble slough, says she, be opposite with a kinsman, surly with servants. Let thy tongue tang with arguments of state. Put thyself into the trick of singularity, and consequently sets down the manner how, as a sad face, a reverend carriage, a slow tongue, in the habit of some sir of note, and so forth. I have limed her! But it is Jove's doing, and Jove make me thankful. And when she went away now, let this fellow be looked to. Fellow, not Malvolio, nor after my degree, but fellow. Everything adheres together, but no dram of a scruple, no scruple of a scruple, no obstacle, no incredulous or unsafe circumstance. What can be said? Nothing that can be can come between me and the full prospect of my hopes. Well, Jove, not I, is the doer of this, and he is to be thanked.
Which way is he in the name of sanctity? If the devils of hell be drawn in little and Legion himself possessed him, yet I'll speak to him.
Here he is. Here he is. I was with you, sir. I was with you, man.
Go off. I discard you. Let me enjoy my private. Go off!
Lo, how all the fiend speaks within him. Did not I tell you, Sir Toby, my lady prays you to have a care of him?
Does she so?
Go to. Peace, peace. We must deal gently with him. Let me alone. How do you, Malvolio? How is with you? What, man? Defy the devil. Consider he's an enemy to mankind.
Do you know what you say?
La, you, and he speak ill of the devil, how he takes it at heart. Pray God he be not bewitched.
Carry his water to the wise woman.
Marry, and it shall be done tomorrow morning if I live. My lady would not lose him for more than I'll say.
How now, mistress?
Lord!
Prithee, hold thy peace. This is not the way. Do you not see you move him? Let me alone with him.
No way but gentleness. Gently, gently. The fiend is rough and will not be roughly used.
Why, how now, my bar cock? How dost thou, Chuck?
Sir!
Aye, Biddy, come with me. What, man? 'Tis not for gravity to play a cherry pit with Satan. Hang him, foul collier.
Get him to say his prayers, Sir Good Toby. Go, good Sir Toby, get him to pray.
My prayers, minx!
No, I warrant you, he will not hear of godliness.
Oh, go hang yourselves all! You are idle, shallow things. I am not of your element. You shall know more hereafter.
If this were played upon a stage now, I could condemn it as an improbable fiction.
Very genius hath taken the infection of the device, man.
Nay, pursue him now, lest the device take air and taint.
Why, we shall make him mad indeed.
The house will be the quieter.
Come, we'll have him in a dark room and bound. My niece is already in the belief that he's mad. We may carry it thus for our pleasure and his penance till our very pastime, tired out of breath, prompt us to have mercy on him, at which time we will bring the device to the bar and crown thee for a finder of madmen. But see,
More matter for a May morning.
Here's the challenge. Read it. I warrant there's vinegar and pepper in't.
Is't so saucy?
Aye, is't. I warrant him. Do but read.
give me. Youth, whatsoever thou art but a scurvy fellow.
Good and valiant.
Wonder not, nor admire not in thy mind why I do call thee so, for I will show thee no reason for it.
A good note that keeps you from the blow of the law.
Thou comest to the lady Olivia, in my sight she uses thee kindly, but thou liest in thy throat, that is not the matter I challenge thee for.
Very brief, and to exceeding good sense. Bless.
I will waylay thee going home, where if it be by chance to kill me,
Good.
thou kill'st me like a rogue and a villain.
Still you keep the windy side of the law. Good.
Fare thee well, and God have mercy upon one of our souls. He may have mercy upon mine, but my hope is better. And so look to thyself, thy friend, as thou usest him, and thy sworn enemy, Andrew Ague Cheek. If this letter move him not, his legs cannot. I'll give it him.
You may have very fit occasion for it. He is now in some commerce with my lady, and will by and by depart.
Go, Sir Andrew. Scout me for him at the corner of the orchard like a bum bailey. So soon as ever thou seest him, draw. And as thou drawest, swear horrible. for it comes to pass oft that a terrible oath, with a swaggering accent sharply twanged off, gives manhood more approbation than ever proof itself would have earned him. Away!
Nay, let me alone for swearing.
Now will not I deliver this letter, for the behavior of the young gentleman gives him out to be of good capacity in breeding. His employment between his lord and my niece confirms no less. Therefore, this letter, being so excellently ignorant, will breed no terror in the youth. He will find it comes from a clawed pole. But, sir, I will deliver his challenge by word of mouth. Set upon ague cheek a notable report of valor, and drive the gentleman, as I know his youth will aptly receive it, into a most hideous opinion of his rage, skill, fury, and impetuosity. This will so fright them both that they will kill one another by the look, like cockatrices.
Here he comes with your niece. Give them way till ye take leave, and presently after him.
I will meditate the while upon some hard message for the challenge.
I've said too much unto a heart of stone, and laid mine honor to an chariot. There's something in me that reproves my fault, but such a headstrong, potent fault it is that it but mocks reproof.
Same behavior that your passion bears goes on my master's griefs.
Here, wear this jewel for me. 'Tis my picture. Refuse it not. It hath no tongue to vex you. And I beseech you, come again tomorrow. What shall you ask of me that I'll deny, that honor saved may upon asking give?
Nothing but this, your true love for my master.
How, with mine honor, may I give him that which I have given to you?
I will acquit you.
Well, come again tomorrow. Fare thee well. A fiend like thee might bear my soul to hell.
Gentlemen, God save thee.
And you, sir.
That defense thou hast, betake thee to it. Of what nature the wrongs are thou hast done him, I know not, but thy interceptor, full of despite, bloody as the hunter, attends thee at the orchard inn. Dismount thy tuck. Beware in thy preparation, for thy assailant is quick, skillful, and deadly.
You mistake, sir. I am sure no man hath any quarrel to me. My remembrance is very free and clear from any image of offense done to any man.
You'll find it otherwise, I assure you. Therefore, if you hold your life at any price, betake you to your guard, for your opposite hath in him what youth, strength, skill, and wrath can furnish man withal.
I pray you, sir, what is he?
He is a knight dulled with unhatched rapier and on carpet consideration, but he is a devil in private brawl. Souls and bodies hath he divorced 3, and his incensement at this moment is so implacable that satisfaction can be none but by the pangs of death and sepulchre. Hobnob is his word. Give it or take it.
I will return again into the house and desire some conduct of the lady. I am no fighter. I have heard of some kind of men that put quarrels purposely on others to taste their valor. Belike this is a man of that quirk.
Sir, no. His indignation derives itself out of a very competent injury. Therefore, get you on and give him his desire. Back you shall not to the house unless you undertake that with me, which with as much safety you might answer him. Therefore on, or strip your sword stark naked, for metal you must, that's certain, or forswear to wear iron about you.
This is as uncivil as strange. I beseech you, do me this courteous office as to know of the knight what my offense to him is. It is something of my negligence, nothing of my purpose.
I will do so, Signor Fabian. I will do so. Signor Fabian, stay you by this gentleman to my return.
Pray you, sir, do you know of this matter?
I know the knight is incensed against you, even to a mortal arbitrament, but nothing of the circumstance more.
I beseech you, what manner of man is he?
Nothing of that wonderful promise, to read him by his form, as you are like to find him in the most proof of his valor. He is indeed, sir, the most skillful, bloody, and fatal opposite that you could possibly have found in any part of Illyria. Will you walk towards him? I will make your peace with him if I can.
Oh, oh, I shall be much bound to you for it. I am one that had rather go with Sir Priest than Sir Knight. I care not who knows so much of my mettle.
Why, man, he's the very devil. I have not seen such a farrago. I had a pass with him, rapier, scabbard, and all, and he gives me the stuck in with such a mortal motion that it is inevitable. And on the answer, he pays you as surely as your feet hits the ground they step on.
Oh,
They say he has been fencer to the Sophie.
pox on't! I'll not meddle with him.
Aye, but he will not now be pacified. Fabian can scarce hold him yonder.
Aunt, and I thought he had been valiant and so cunning in fence. I'd have seen him damned ere I'd have challenged him. Let him let the matter slip, and I'll give him my horse, Grey Capulet.
I'll make the motion. Stand here. Make a good show on't. This shall end without the perdition of souls. Mary, I'll ride your horse as well as I'll ride you. I have his horse to take up the quarrel. I have persuaded him the youth's a devil.
He is as horribly conceited of him and pants and looks pale as if a bear were at his heels.
There's no remedy, sir. He will fight with you for his oath's sake. Mary, he hath better bethought him of his quarrel, and he finds that now scarce to be worth talking of. Therefore, draw for the supportance of his vow. He protests he will not hurt you.
Pray God defend me. A little thing would make me tell them how much I lack of a man.
Give ground if you see him furious.
Come, Sir Andrew, there's no remedy. The gentleman will, for his honor's sake, have one bout with you. He cannot by the duello avoid it. But he has promised me he is a gentleman and a soldier. He will not hurt you. Come on, do it.
Pray God he keep his oath.
I do assure you, 'tis against my will.
There we are. So we lost Janet at the end. What happened to Janet? Your video went at the end.
Did I do that old chestnut of not putting my camera on again?
Well, no, it was on, and then it went off. You turned it right before the knives.
Oh dear, I'm sorry.
Scared yourself right off the screen.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, that's so funny that we did them both in 40 minutes, because it used to take us 40 minutes to get through the first 2 pages of your page. So how do you feel about it all?
I'm feeling good. I feel like I had some speed where I can like split the difference of the speed so I can stay on the thoughts and be clear of the separations of thoughts. I was realizing like, ooh, I'm running through an end stop with momentum. And so I'm being aware of the pacing and making sure that each thought is clear as we go along the storytelling, and also the freshness of thoughts. I'm still working on the reading of the letter. I realize what I run into is I'm reading the letter, but then I'm not looking at the room. And so I don't know where people are and where to play the thing. And, you know, and so just being aware of that.
I sort of actually wanted to see the letter, because I know you had one, but I couldn't see it. And I thought, well, that would be for next time round, was let me see you actually see at the top of the letter would be good, would be cool. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Any other thoughts from anyone else?
The first scene, I can't even be sure I said all the lines.
Beautiful.
I was trying to be a little, not to rush, so that the thoughts and the ideas would land. by the second scene, I really felt warmed up. And so and it was so much fun to play, but they're both so beautiful. They're both so beautiful. But I did need, I think, one scene to really warm up.
So how did you feel about then the characters? I mean, you played both Olivia and Viola, which is lucky. That's wonderful.
Oh yeah, they're both so terrific. I really love Olivia. I'd always thought of myself as a Viola when I was younger. Fortunately, never got a chance to play her. But now that I've done this, Olivia is so rich a character because she just has this great presentation self. And the thing is that what she is underneath is so different from this mourning great lady, and to have that be able to just sort of spurt out. One of my favorite things to do is that thing where she really lets it loose and says, Cesario, by all the roses of the spring, by maidhood, honor, truth, and that is just so delicious to have that arc from let the garden door be shut and leave me to my hearing, to that kind of
yeah
thing.
And I mean, that's the wonderful thing, is that you suddenly burst into rhyming verse at that moment.
Yes.
Which is, sometimes we don't pay attention to that transition so much from prose to verse to rhyming verse, which is what you do. And I mean, and I think, why would you say that happens? We talked a little bit about it in one of the rehearsals.
It certainly heightens the emotion when you go into the rhyme. That makes,
I think there's the other way around. You're not heightening the emotion. The emotion is heightening you.
Heightening the and so you start bursting out in verse, and such beautiful verse. I mean, I just love doing that scene and that character.
It's a wonderful moment, because then you actually tell her you love her. I mean,
yes.
Him, and that's so wonderful that it is done in this heightened language. Right. And then, but what's interesting is that Viola picks up on the rhymes too. Why do you think Viola goes to the rhymes when we've just had this torrent of rhymes from Olivia?
Can I answer that? Is that okay?
Yes, that's why I asked you.
Yeah, I think Viola is a master at observation. And if somebody's going to speak in rhyme to her, she's going to note it and go, oh, is this how we're communicating now? Fine, then I will match you and I will be better than you at it. If that's the only way to get through to you, if that's the state of mind you're in, then I'm going to find you in that state of mind and attempt to communicate with you. She's such a clear...
Do you think she's that conscious? Because she doesn't have that many. If it's an unconscious thing, what's going on? I just, either way, we would, in rehearsal, we could...
Yeah, if it's unconscious, I wonder if
we could have many more rehearsals, you see?
Yeah,
right.
If it's unconscious, I wonder if it's a woman-to-woman thing. I wonder if, she really exposes herself there and it's her best attempt to go, listen, lady, I'm also a lady. Let me try to get to you woman to woman in a way that I'm clearly not getting to you as Cesario. So there's like a next plane that she locks into there.
I mean, it's a similar thing. You're still just totally heightened. You're off the charts. I mean, the scene, you've had it. She's told you all this stuff. She's not listened to anything you had to say. So she bursts this stuff out, and you just, this is it, lady, and you go. I think it's
the other thing is that Viola is like the ultimate chameleon, the ultimate adapter.
Yes.
So she is somebody who I think almost unconsciously picks up on cues and adapts herself to the situation that she finds in. Fine, are we in rhyming couplets? I can be there.
You can be there. So, Erica, how are you with your Mariah? Of course, you have a whole other character on the Thursday sessions, but
Well, I've been watching too many of the Olympic trials because I felt like a hurdler that hit the hurdles on the run. I apologize for popping in too early and just boom, boom, boom. It's been a challenge to do. Like we talked about this in rehearsal, to be the person on the stage who carries the knowledge and has the reaction face without stepping forward or being broad about it. But she's written the letter. She wrote the letter. So to get that reflection back, but to be smart enough to be the actor to know how to play Olivia and Malvolio to exact her revenge is it's an interesting balance to do with the camera just right there. On stage, I'd feel much more like free about it in terms of the subtlety of it, and the obligation to it is just very different in front of the camera.
No, I get that.
It's a different obligation. But yeah, I do have to say, I haven't seen the first scene in a while, and I was just it was so wonderful, y'all. It was just so beautiful. I'm really was blown away by the work. Really, congratulations. It was great.
It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Garrett, so you have your double Feste, Fabian, the double Fs. How are they?
Good. Yeah, it's sorry, my computer's being real weird right now. Yeah, I think this time, particularly with the with 3/4, this was the first time that I just kind of we did all the work, we did all the notes, and I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna follow the ride and see where this takes it. And this was the first time that particular scene was just so much fun. Like I was just imagining what that would have been like on stage, and just seeing the antics of these characters, but living that experience emotionally through it. It was a blast. So much fun to just kind of like to try and capture the innocence of each moment as if it was the first time. Feste for me is a really, I've never played it's been a while since I've played any Fools, and never one this smart. There's just so much that is there with each line. There's so many double meanings and subtextual things that are just really fascinating. The one that always gets me is the "not so, sir, I do care for something, but in my conscience, sir, I do not care for you." That line just like, it kind of percolates a lot. I don't know if it's like one of those things where it's like he actually got his feelings hurt and he's hiding it. It's just, there's just so much with him.
Well, you got it. It's sort of, I made hardly any notes, so what the hell. So Janet, tell me about your double act.
Oh, such a joy. I mean, two great comedy characters, right? And very different. It was great. I mean, the real challenge, I had two challenges that I felt with Malvolio, and they were obviously trying to build the right momentum in the monologue. And I feel like, just working on it today, the whole, he mentions the Jove twice, and that was a real grounder, and it kind of helped me get the momentum right. It's Jove that brings him back to the groundedness of, he's been this Puritan all his life. It's a little bit like, it struck me today, like Olivia has the lid lifted off her, right? When Cesario arrives, this house of mourning that's been going on forever, he receives this letter, and it's this very similar effect. He's suddenly gone into this. And then you think, well, Jove, don't forget Jove, let's not forget. I enjoyed playing with that today, I must say. Obviously, I kind of like, I miss having the interaction with people in real time always. That's never going to go away.
I miss the eye contact.
Me too. And particularly in that scene, obviously, it's a monologue, so I don't need it. But definitely the eye contact in scenes like Sir Andrew and Sir Toby is perfect. It really helps to see how he's painting this picture of Cesario. But the scene I had the most difficulty with today in particular was the kind of the gulling of Malvolio with Mariah Toby. And I mean, it's a tiny scene at the end. It's trickier than I realized. There's more in that.
That's the one where you absented yourself from Felicity, is it? That very end bit where we lost you.
No. When they are saying, "What's wrong, man? The devil be within you," with Malvolio.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel that that's pretty tricky to do, not on stage, really. Really hard to kind of maintain what you hear and what you're not. But I mean, it's all technical stuff, right? But I felt I missed a few things in there, but that's rehearsal, right?
Yeah. Sorry, what?
It would be interesting. I was just sitting here thinking as we're talking about the differences being able to, like, I can imagine the structure on stage of being able to sneak a glance to the boys when we're gulling Malvolio and things like that. But it would be interesting to mix rehearsals with the occasional Zoom rehearsal in with the on stage to sort of shake an actor's scope into this, just to see how it would inform consciously or unconsciously what ends up being on the stage physically. It just struck me as an interesting idea going forward, now that we've been forced into this sort of idea of rehearsing things on camera that we usually do on stage.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think you get to see each other's faces in ways that you wouldn't on stage sometimes, and sometimes you can sneak a peek and say, "Oh, that's what he's doing," and then you hold on to it. So it would be nice then to mix it up a bit. Do you have Jamal? You didn't say a lot at the beginning, so did you have anything more to add?
I don't. I had a good time.
Okay, you could have to. I just didn't want to think that you'd be rushed.
I'm having a good time though, because from this experience, Sir Toby is a character that I wouldn't get the chance to play actually on stage today. And so it's kind of fun to like be in my body and to envision him as, through me and through this scope, through this lens. And so it's been a fun ride to like see what's different, what's similar, what comes from me and my culture that I feel like rubs with this dude, and then where there's some distance. And then, how that with all of us as actors, our life comes into like the character sometimes. And it's like a clashing. It's like, this isn't me, this is me. And then you find like, wait, hold on, this is my dad. I feel so my grandfather. You start to feel some of those nuances. And so it's been a fun ride to play at something that I haven't had the opportunity to do before. I have never had a chance, even in training in school, to play a Sir Toby Belch type character. It's drastically different than me. And so it's been a good ride.
Oh, I'm glad, because I thought you pulled him off beautifully. You certainly did.
Thank you.
Just wanted to say one thing about the Zoom. Which is, it just so happened that I was mostly in 2 scenes. So the Zoom worked really well because it just so happened that, the way it worked, Sarah's square was right next to mine. So I kind of did feel like I was looking at her. And the same thing with Jamal when he was playing Toby and I was playing, I felt like I was actually being able to look at them. So I didn't feel like I lost a lot by being on Zoom.
Well, it's funny because what I felt was like, because I was in the middle strip of the Brady Bunch, and I was right in the middle, and I felt like I'd gotten a hot light spot on stage when it shouldn't have been mine. That's what it felt like. So it was like, don't move because it's not yours. But you have to do something. I mean, it's it's an interesting thing. I'm like, where do I click drag myself? Where would be a less yeah, it's fascinating.
I found it really depended on the scene for me during this process. When I play Viola, it's so much about connecting human to human, and I felt it very easy to find that character, get into that character. With the scene in which I play Olivia, when this is staged, so much is happening physically on stage. Malvolio's coming out acting crazy. There's often a lot of like he's getting too physically close to Olivia. You know, when Olivia re-enters with Viola with that short little section, she's often chasing him, and there's a lot of push-pull. And I think, you know, if I could do this for another 7 weeks, I would explore how do I get that experience, or at least that that push-pull energy, because I don't know if I ever really found it or really found the character in that scene fully. Maybe because I tend to be a very physical person, and so with the physicality lacking, I feel like one of my senses has been removed in a way.
Well, I think what you have done over time is you've taken it on your feet a lot of time in your room, which has made a huge difference. Yeah. And by the way, you got the bed line perfectly today. It was so wonderful when you invited him to bed. I just died. It was and I know that was a struggle to get there, but you found it perfectly.
For those watching, I kept trying to deliver.
The reaction was divine.
For those watching, I kept trying to deliver a line about getting Malvolio to bed as strictly as possible, and Liz just kept feeling like I was propositioning him. So I've won today.
Totally got it. Yeah. Where are the other ones? What were you doing on Begged, Borrowed? You did something totally different. You convulsed. It was very interesting.
I did. It came out. Olivia started giggling at the thought. I don't know what happened, but I started giggling and then had to calm myself down. So whatever it was, it came out naturally.
Well, it was natural. It was fun. You know, I don't have notes for you because I just had a good time. I just noticed the bed line and a few things, little bits like that, because you would just, you know, I don't think this is the time to start saying, well, on line, da, 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 da. I think you did something over the time that we had, and I think you brought it to a wonderful place with your absolute commitment to all the crazy things that we had to commit to. And so I don't think, is there a scene you'd like to do again? Or do we call Nathan on? It's up to you. If you wanted to do a scene again or a section because you weren't happy, just say so. Otherwise, I'm totally content to say you did wonderfully and leave it at that.
Well, I wonder, actually, if it's all right, I don't want to be selfish here, but if I could do that little section with Viola in the middle of the second scene and just thinking about the two of us as if we were in motion, even if we aren't actually in motion, and see if that makes a change at all in the performance. If you'd be up for that, Michele.
Sure.
Is that fine with you, Liz?
Yes, of course. That's why I asked you. It's entirely up to you. I want to make you all happy. You've made me happy, so now I want to make you happy. So, okay. So wait a minute. I've got the wrong scene.
So if this looks crazy, I apologize, but I might as well experiment while we're here.
So,
what line do you want to start from?
Yeah. What's the line number?
You know, if we could start from the end of your monologue, like around 200, Toby, and then maybe Michele and I can, I don't know, come in with movement somehow and see what happens.
Ooh, amazing.
All right, so 200, so that's the end of Toby's monologue. Okay, so why don't you take it from, this will so fright them both. Maybe that would be a good thing.
Shall we therefore run on to the end so I can come on camera for the end?
Why not?
Because I didn't, you know, show up.
Die on. Show up. We didn't see your carving knife, so yeah, let's go for it.
Ready?
Yep.
This will so fright them both that they will kill one another by the look, like cockatrices.
Here he comes with your niece. Give them wait till he take leave, and presently after him.
I will meditate the while upon some hard message for a challenge.
I've said too much into a heart of stone, and laid mine honor too unchariot. Oh, there's something in me that reproves my fault, but such a headstrong, potent fault it is that it but mocks reproof.
With the same behavior that your passion bears goes on my master's griefs.
Here, wear this jewel for me. 'Tis my picture. Refuse it not. It hath no tongue to vex you, and I beseech you, come again tomorrow. What shall you ask of me that I'll deny, that honor saved may upon asking give?
Nothing but this, your true love for my master.
How, with mine honor, may I give him that which I have given to you?
I will acquit you.
Well, come again tomorrow. Fare thee well. A fiend like thee might bear my soul to hell.
Gentlemen, God save thee.
And you, sir.
That defense thou hast, but take thee to it. Of what nature the wrongs are thou hast done him, I know not, but thy interceptor, full of despite, bloody as the hunter, attends thee at the orchard inn. Dismount thy tuck, be air in thy preparation, for thy assailant is quick, skillful, and deadly.
You mistake, sir. I am sure no man hath any quarrel to me. My remembrance is very free and clear from any image of offense done to any man.
You'll find it otherwise, I assure you. Therefore, if you hold your life at any price, betake you to your guard, for your opposite hath in him what youth, strength, skill, and wrath can furnish man withal.
I pray you, sir, what is he?
He is a knight dubbed with unhatched rapier and on carpet consideration, but he is a devil in private brawl. Souls and bodies hath he divorced 3, and his incensement at this moment is so implacable that satisfaction can be none but by the pangs of death and sepulchre. Hobnob is his word. Give it or take it.
I will return again into the house and desire some conduct from the lady. I am no fighter. I have heard of some kind of men that put quarrels purposely on others to taste their valor. Belike this is a man of that quirk.
Sir, no. His indignation derives itself out of a very competent injury. Therefore, get you on and give him his desire. Back you shall not to the house unless you undertake that with me, which with as much safety as you might do that again. Sir, no! His indignation derives itself out of a very competent injury. Therefore, get you on and give him his desire. Back you shall not to the house unless you undertake that with me, with as much safety as you might answer him. Therefore on, or strip your sword stark naked, for metal you must, that's certain, or forswear to wear iron about you.
This is as uncivil as strange. I beseech you, sir, do me this courteous office as to know of the knight what my offense to him is. It is something of my negligence, nothing of my purpose.
I will do so. Signor Fabian, stay you by this gentleman till my return.
Pray you, sir, do you know of this matter?
I know the knight is incensed against you, even to a mortal bitrament, but nothing of the circumstance more.
I beseech you, what manner of man is he?
Nothing of that wonderful promise. To read him by his form, as you are like to find him in the proof of his valor. He is indeed, sir, the most skillful, bloody, and fatal opposite that you could possibly have found in any part of Illyria. Will you walk towards him? I will make your peace with him if I can.
Oh, I shall be much bound to you for it. I am one that had rather go with Sir Priest than Sir Knight. I care not who knows so much of my mettle.
Why, man, he's a very devil. I have not seen such a farrago. I had a pass with him, rapier, scabbard, and all, and he gives me the stuck in with such a mortal motion that it is inevitable. And on to the answer. He pays you as surely as your feet hit the ground they step on.
Oh.
They say he has been fencer to the Sophie.
Pox on't! I'll not meddle with him.
Ah, but he will not now be pacified. Fabian can scarce hold him yonder.
Plague on't! And I thought he had been so valiant and cunning in fence. I'd have seen him damned, and I'd have challenged him. Oh. Let him let the matter slip, and I'll give him my horse, Grey Capulet.
I'll make the motion. Stand here. Make a good show on't.
Oh.
This shall end without the perdition of souls. Mary, I'll ride your horse as well as I'll ride you. I have his horse to take up the quarrel. I have persuaded him the youth's a devil.
He is as horribly conceited of him, and pants and looks pale as if a bear were at his heels.
There's no remedy, sir. He will fight with you for his oath's sake. Mary, he had better bethought him of his quarrel, and he finds that now scarce to be worth talking of. Therefore, draw for the supportance of his vow. He protests he will not hurt you.
Pray God defend me. A little thing would make me tell them how much I lack of a man.
Give ground if you see him furious.
Come, Sir Andrew, there's no remedy. The gentleman will, for his honor's sake, have one bout with you. He cannot by the duel avoid it. But he has promised me, as he is a gentleman and a soldier, he will not hurt you. Come on, to it!
Pray God he keep his oath.
I do assure you, 'tis against my will.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yeah, love it.
Thank you. Did you discover anything? Was that helpful? Doing it again?
Yeah, that
Very
was
helpful for me. It was wonderful for me. I felt good.
You were particularly good in that scene, I
So
must say.
clear. I nailed it. Out.
That, for me, it actually did make a real big difference with Sara, with you moving. I really got a sense of the urgency in the situation. It got me into the scene like very, very quickly.
Yeah, it was helpful for me too, because I really, you were talking about you kind of have your ramp up when you have the Olivia scene, and I've been struggling with, I don't get a ramp up. I just come in at a 10, and the movement helped me feel the ramp up in a way that I couldn't just invent for myself in my head. I can rarely invent things in my head.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I love the sense of play. Every time I do Toby, like I just keep being reminded and finding new ways that he's having fun doing this. He's having fun making up this story. It's kind of like a joyful play. Like, hey, nope, that ain't gonna work. He's a badass. Hey, yeah. And like that fun playness of it, which makes me move a little bit faster. So still splitting the difference there, but it's so much fun just messing with these guys. It's just really, really fun. And Toby's having a good time doing it and discovering how to do. He's like, oh, I did this. It's working. He's taking it. Okay, on to the next one. And so each time it works, it's like, oh, more, oh, more. Oh, how do I do this? How do I do this? And that's fun.
And you could see you having fun with it, Jamal. It was so good to see you get there when you were explaining about how you were so worried that it was out of your range. And it's like, it just shows you that nothing is right ultimately, because
totally not
saying the words. It was great. I want to meet your dad.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna get him out here. We'll meet my dad. He's gonna finally come out to LA.
Right. We'll have a get-together party and do the scenes for him.
yay!
Live. We'll do them live. All right. So anything else anyone wants to say? There's Nathan. I was going to say we'll invite Nathan in. Hello, Nathan.
Hello. I have been laughing and smiling and just having a wonderful time. I've tried to be present for as many of the rehearsals as I can, and it's still so much fun to watch these scenes. And as an actor, I know there's always things you're thinking about, or you might want to try differently. But what I loved, and I don't consider myself an expert on these plays, and even listening to all the rehearsals, it was just so clear. I loved how clear the scenes were that again, even if there are little things you want to try in terms of pace or rhythm or intention, I could still follow what was going on. And I thought that was so wonderful. And so I hope, those who are coming to this fresh, had a similar experience, but I thought they were still so very clear. And so it was great. And Liz, thank you for kind of jumping in and asking some of the questions I would have had.
I'm sorry.
No. It's there's no assigning of roles.
I was being lazy and not wanting them to do anything again if they didn't want to. And I didn't want to give a list of notes. I stopped making notes. I was enjoying.
No, that's great. And again, those attending, if you have questions you want to put in the chat, this discussion I think has been fantastic. It's really it's so enjoyable for me to hear what's going. Anytime you go to a play, you see something, you might still have questions like, well, how do they craft that moment, or what were they thinking about? So it's so wonderful to get an inside look. And I'll just mention for those watching, a traditional repertory, it's rotating rep, the same company doing maybe different plays. And so what was fun and came up as a suggestion from Brendan Fox was like, well, what if we had two directors working on the same material? Because Brendan was thinking, as a director, you never get to see another director work on a play. Like that just usually doesn't happen. But what would it be like to have them work on the same material? And so while we could have done different plays, I think it was interesting to work on the same plays. And then of course it gave all the actors, more to explore within the same play. So, as you're, studying one character, you can kind of read through the play from different perspective and different lenses. One of the great joys of Zoom is that we have directors and actors on both coasts, and sometimes they've been in the middle of the country. So the fact that everybody can come together and work on this has been really wonderful. A few of you did talk about kind of playing against type or playing different characters and all that kind of stuff. And that's another wonderful part about these workshops, is that we can be, conscious of age and gender and all those kinds of things. And I was curious if anyone else had any, thoughts or feelings of like playing characters, either different ages than them, different genders, different types, just what it was like to explore. If anyone who we've already heard from or anyone else had, anything else to add on that.
Well, I'd say the thing about Mariah that I love is her intelligence. She's really quite brilliant. And the thing that I'm miffed about William Shakespeare in this instance is that she helps to set things up so beautiful, but she disappears. She doesn't get to come back and play with the boys. And there's no real, it's not because she has to go take care of Olivia. There's no, she doesn't get to come back and keep making mischief with it. Her reward ends up being, drunken Toby, which is what she wants. But at the same time, it's like, gosh, the girls should get to play in this too, they get to work on it. But that's a modern day take. But it's also a frustration as an actress. Sometimes you get in companies and you see so many male roles that you're like, oh, would I love to take that on? Oh, I'd love to do that. I think one of the funnest things I ever got to do was read Malvolio, not Malvolio, but Mercutio.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it was I was like, what a steak dinner. You guys get some really good parts. And I think that's sort of part of the selfish things about where I want to go back and, pick Will out of the grave and go, kush, 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 kush. But so it's an interesting position to sort of just stand in. And I think just Mariah, particularly in this moment, it like every time we've done this, I've like scrolled through and I was like, no, I'm off. Yeah, no, I don't come back on. Okay. Because it's just like she's getting ahead of steam. She's having a lot of fun.
I always, I often wonder, then we have that with so many characters. Did he need her to come back as someone else later?
Right, exactly.
Is that why that character disappears, you know,
Right.
because he was in some instances working with a smaller group of actors.
Absolutely. It's a little bit like that. The perfect example is Cymbeline with Posthumus and Cloten.
Yeah.
That was doubled. And to see them, which was perfect because he uses them as sort of a twin circumstance. And,
yeah,
you know,
the first time I saw 12th Night ever, they doubled Mariah. They combined the characters of Mariah and Fabian so that Mariah could be there for all of the duping scenes. And I'd never read the play, so I didn't know it was anything but that. And every time I've come back to 12th Night since then, I have felt that outrage of, but it was like this once, just once.
Well, Fabian sometimes gets the axe when they need a smaller company. Fabian's the one that either gets cut or his lines get divvied up with everybody.
I always thought of Feste and Fabian.
Yeah,
so
Feste and
why
Fabian.
all of a sudden do they drop Feste and have Fabian come in?
Feste's got a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to hear the modern day perspectives, and I mean, I think it's important that, you know, these plays are living, that we still, you know, we still explore them from our perspective and go, well, what do we want to do with this? You know, not subverting necessarily the story or the playwright's intentions, but just what are we now bringing to the story? And I think you know, Jamal kind of articulated that with like, where, you know, who am I and what am I bringing to this character that, you know, someone might not immediately see in the character around the page, but, you know, is clearly a part of Jamal. Like, I mean, I think in Jamal, you're just one example of someone having a lot of fun with these parts, you know, and Janet, I think you're another example of, you know, you get to play two very different characters and having a lot of fun with both of them, and they're both male characters. So, you know, whether or not you would be cast in these roles, I don't know, but you did a wonderful job with them. So it's really great to see you get to explore that.
Well, it is happening, and it just takes directors willing to do it. I'm working on a play right now, and Oberon is being played by a woman, and she's playing Oberon as a man. They haven't changed Oberon to a woman. She's simply presenting this character as a man, and it works brilliantly, and it's seamless. And there's no reason why every director in the world can't choose to make that choice, given the fact that these plays were originally performed with men in drag as women. So
sure. Oh yeah.
Literally, it just takes a director deciding to do it.
Well, a director and sometimes artistic director and producers, you know, willing to, you know, go, okay, is this going to alienate our audience? Is we're going to have any paying customers? Because unfortunately, you know, yeah, you do get that intersection of art and commerce. And yes, the artist is just like, well, you know, all of that to hell. Like, let's just do this. And you know.
And you know, there is also value in the exercise of playing in a period situation where you don't get to play with the boys,
right?
And how you, as an actor, you know, it's like I don't know if anyone's familiar with. There's a wonderful book called Clamorous Voices.
Oh yes,
and it's an interview with 5 Shakespeare. It's Paolo Dionissotti, Harriet Walter, Sinead Cusack, Juliet Stevenson, and Fiona Shaw. And they were all still in the RSC at that time. Paolo Dionissotti wasn't. She was sort of the elder of the group. And it's just basically them interviewing and talking about a decade period of playing women in Shakespeare. And they talk specifically about like playing, I know we're getting way off topic. I am Kate in Taming of the Shrew. And Paolo Dionissotti does it at the beginning of the decade they're talking about. And Fiona Shaw does it with Brian Cox at the end of the decade. And they talk about it's cheating to do that last speech tongue in cheek, because you've just worked the whole play through. And if you do it with the modern thing with sort of a like, yeah, put your foot on my hand, right? Because this has happened. You've blown the whole play. It's fascinating. It's a great, I don't even know if it's still published, but if you can still get
it, yeah. It's I've recommended it to people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Michele. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think Harriet Walter very famously worked with Philida Lloyd playing like Henry IV or something like that. I mean, one of the
and she also did that. She did three plays. They did.
there were three of them that they were
Julius Caesar was
their
one.
cast. And Harriet Walter did the leads in I think all of them, but yeah.
Yeah, she played
Julia.
Tempest. She played
Prospero. Yeah.
And oh God, what's the third play?
Brutus and
Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar, yeah. And they were in a prison.
In a woman's prison, yeah. It's
Those
all
brilliant
three of them are
productions.
set in a woman's prison.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they're pretty powerful productions.
Very cool. Well,
Times are changing.
I wanted to grab a question from the chat. Peter, who has kind of been along for some of the rehearsals sitting in, he was curious how the actors have fed from the other actor playing their part. And this may, of course, somewhat overlap with, the other scenes you're working on with Brendan. But, was there any thought about trying to be similar to the other person, deliberately different, how, and I guess specifically with today, we have the Olivia and Viola's switching. So, how did you two approach that as actors?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. I found it very inspiring to watch the others working on the same roles as me. Both, each of these gals, particularly with Viola, I kept noticing how they found really raw truthfulness in a way that I was having a tendency to hide and step back. And seeing both of them encouraged me to go further in Viola's straightforwardness in a way I don't think I would have found if I hadn't been watching both of them. And it's not about imitating, it's just about the qualities that you see other people bring to the role, and you go, oh, that's really cool. That's not my natural state. I want to try to stretch myself in that way. So I just found it wildly helpful.
Awesome. Yeah. It is cool to be able to watch, because you may be cognizant of your own limitations or the things that scare you or fear you or places you're not comfortable in, but to be able to see another actor go and do that, then you as a third party can be like, oh, that does work. I don't know that I would have been able to push myself to get there, but I can see it works. Mm-hmm. So now I do want to push myself to try it out.
And of course, it's the old stuff that we used to do at Antaeus with the doubling.
Sure, yeah.
Watch your partner in a rehearsal and you pick up things and see things you never think of doing yourself. And it can be great fun. It can be really helpful, I think.
Did anyone else want to add to that?
I'd say sorry, Jamal, were you starting to speak?
I was about to, but you started. So you go ahead. I'll be here when you're done. I ain't going nowhere.
Do it.
Go ahead.
It's sort of a funny thing that it's like it informs you on a subconscious level. It's like reading an interview with somebody like a Harriet Walter about their performance when they performed this role, that you don't necessarily literally, there are moments where you go, oh yeah, that's interesting, but the influence of that, you take it in and there's a ghost of it somewhere living in you that comes into, I think, what you end up doing. I mean, it was, she doesn't get to play Mariah as long as I did in this little bit, but being able to watch Janet work, with her Mariah was lovely. And also it informed me to watch her work on Malvolio and Sir Andrew as well, because her comedic timing is so brilliant and it's so easy. And it was inspiring to me. And so I just wanted to see more from her Mariah. That's, but like I said, neither of us had huge Mariah chunks. And so it was really great to watch. And I think it would be fun to play sisters or something on stage at some point with Jen.
I'd love it.
We'd have a good time. We'd have a good time.
Yeah,
we got to write a spin-off play of just Mariah, right? What Mariah is doing the rest of the time.
I'm telling you, she's interesting. She's one interesting cookie, Mariah.
She is. She is.
Jamal, you had something you wanted to share?
Yeah, I was gonna say I just like watching everybody and listening to everyone. We all have our way of getting into the language, and I know for me, I have the. It's not a struggle; it's just a beautiful challenge of building this work and getting to your endpoint for now of like getting the character close to me. And so seeing us like speak the language and then seeing that line between ourselves and the character kind of go away where you don't see the difference. And it's beautiful to see everyone become one with the character in the way that they do. That's inspiring to me, the way we do that physically with voice and tone, as well as with the speech alone as well. I'm a physical guy first. I got to get into my body. I think culture and ethnicity is big to me. So I need to feel, honestly, I need to feel a little black. If I'm going to do it, it has to be a little distance from the rest of the world. I got to get the culture in there because I want my people to come see Shakespeare. And so finding, how do I still stay on the line? How do I still hit the T's without being pretentious to the people who look like me, who didn't grow up in the, because, we're Shakespeare scholars in this room. All my people that's coming to the theater aren't. And so I'm always thinking about what is that line to bring my community closer to this work. And so I love seeing each individual figure that out for their voices with their characters, because it looked different for each person here. Each of us are thinning that line between me, this character, this classic text, and the modern world we're living in, how we're looking at it today. And so when you look at each person working on their thing, you see each person validating themselves within the life of this text and coming to life within that. And I love seeing that happen, because then it helps me also be freer in being me in this, because it's Shakespeare, so we all come to it like, this is Shakespeare, so I love watching and listening for all of those little details where you become one with the character with freedom.
I gotta say, because I watched you and I really respected the journey you were on, because you stated it in rehearsals several times, how you were trying to find that marriage and being authentically you and bringing your culture into it. And today that line was gone. It was you, and it was authentically you. There wasn't anything that like popped in a weird way or anything. And my God, I laughed every time you said, I'm going to ride that horse. I loved that. Oh my God. But watching your journey with that, very specifically to what your goal was that you set out, I thought you nailed it.
And the thing is that the clarity was always there. The clarity, Jamal, was always there. And that was my favorite line. I was thinking, Jesus, Will Shakespeare wrote it to be said like that. I'll write that. That was wonderful. And the other thing was watching Janet, you encouraged me to really not be self-conscious, to go for the character. Because boy, you were playing Malvolio flat out. You were playing Aguchi flat out. I mean, that was just, you had no fear.
Thank you. They're great roles. I mean, to get the opportunity, I know when we were starting out on this, I said to Nathan, if we're allowed to ask, I wouldn't mind a crack at Malvolio. We never get to play these parts. And it is interesting looking at Malvolio as well, as you say. What's the influence of the other person playing the character? Just even today for me, knowing Jamal plays Malvolio in another scene. This scene is such an isolation scene. It's kind of hard to do Malvolio in the one scenes that he has, because he changes very drastically between scenes. But it really was just seeing Jamal's doing his that reminded me of this puritanical side of him. And I was really trying to work on that today. Let's not let go of that. These people don't change and become completely different.
Right.
Sure, he's had a life-altering moment, but he's still the Puritan. We have to keep that in somewhere. And it's been great. Well, Liz has created a very safe space for us to all do that, actually. Thank you, Liz, because there's nothing better than being freer, right? Than, in rehearsal. So.
Well, I love hearing that. And I think, with a number of the characters, we were talking about Jamal, your Sir Toby, that, I think very often you can have these ideas of like, well, this is what a Sir Toby is like, or this is what an Olivia is like,
right.
whatever. And it takes a lot of courage to just do your own thing and not feel like you have to play into that. And I think many of you displayed an extreme amount of courage and just going, I'm just going to do this like me, or I'm going to find my own path, because that to me is exciting when you're just like, okay, that's totally different than I ever expected, and it works. And now that's going to be, maybe not the standard, but like I'm going to carry that because it was so different and so clear, but so authentic to the person. So I think a number of you did that with your work. It was really great. We could clearly talk for a much longer period of time. I do just want to ask, since you guys had so much time with these scenes, it was actually, funny enough, about the same amount of time that you had with the month long just spread out, but because you're working over 7 weeks, there was just more time for it to kind of marinate and you to think on it. What were some of the highlights of what you were able to uncover or discover through the rehearsal process or whatever? Garrett, you've been quiet for a little bit, and your work was no less brilliant than anybody else. I love the differences between Feste and Fabian, and some of your deadpan stuff was great. But did you have anything you wanted to share, just in terms of your journey with experiencing this play over the 7 weeks?
That's a big question. I think that the one that's probably hit me the most more than the others is I was actually not in the scenes tonight. It'll be in the scenes on Thursday with the Duke Orsino part. I think the one that was most interesting for me of these was just the, like, Feste to me almost seems very, the word is like sardonic. I'm thinking the word is sardonic, but it's just like very like this, he can be fun and pessimistic. And it was interesting to see how, you could take this character and just be like lighthearted and fun, but he can also be just incredibly pointed and dark. Absolutely. Like it's so human and so real to have this comedic character also be one of the characters who does some of the darkest things in the play. It's just really fascinating. Like I remember going through and reading that scene again with new eyes too, as we talked about it, but we don't get to do, but what's the character he plays when he like traps Malvolio and he becomes
not Topus.
Yes, Topaz.
Yes, Topaz.
Yeah.
And I remember reading that scene again as we were going through this. I was like, this is messed up. This is so bad. And I don't know, there are like moments of this play that when we were coming at it again with fresh eyes, where I was really surprised at how many things get glossed over and how like played comedically when they're not funny, and they should just be played almost earnestly. And it's been fun to like kind of relook at the play in that lens.
Yeah, and it sounds like, as an actor, again, it goes into the discussion of expectations of like, oh, well, this is the fool or this is the clown, and then you read about what he does, and as an actor, you have to marry all that together of like, okay, who is this guy, and then like, where does he land, and where is he?
Text, as we kept saying, if you trust the text, you'll find that. Yeah, I mean, I think that was it. Can I say something about doing the 7 weeks? What was wonderful was every week, nobody ever came in doing the same thing that they'd done the week before. It was always a growth or new ideas. I mean, and it was really exciting to come in each week and just say, okay, where are we today? And we were always somewhere new. And so yeah, if we went on for another 7 weeks, we'd have all sorts of different things happening, I think. But I think it was nice to have that happening. I think, as you said, probably because we were doing too big of scenes, the amount of time was perhaps not more, but the time to think in between was what was so valuable.
Yeah.
And then you have a different framework of being then with Brendan, dealing with the same play but different scenes and different characters. There wasn't really a conscious thing that I carried in knowing I was going to rehearse with Liz today versus rehearsing with Brendan, but it was an interesting, I think unconsciously it like worked on me to keep things loose, carrying one experience in a different rehearsal room, so to speak, into the other rehearsal room, and then back and forth. And it happened on a totally unconscious level. I wasn't thinking about it, but there was an openness that I felt that I didn't feel like I walked in trepidatious, like, oh, should I try? I don't know at all. I didn't double think it at all.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, and it's it's a joy when there's a mix of people who've been doing this for a while, and people that are coming to it with fresh ideas and new ideas and all that kind of stuff, that you're all open to being nimble enough or were nimble enough and open to being just malleable and flexible with that. It was great to see, and I'm thrilled that Liz, that was your experience. That everybody was coming in with ideas. It was like jazz every week. You never knew what you were going to get, but that's wonderful. Again, we could keep talking, but we'll probably wrap it up here, unless I got to remember, I said I had an announcement. I don't want to miss that, but if there's anything else people want to share, Michele, please.
Yeah. For me, the big revelation, Liz, was your idea of the poise, because I always had a real problem trying to reconcile the Shakespeare, particularly the verse, with a more modern, with the emotions, with the character thing. So it's not just words. And particularly in those two speeches that Olivia has, the one that starts, "Give me leave, beseech you, I did send after the last enchantment." The idea of taking that slight pause made such a difference to being able to navigate, because those two speeches, that one and then "Why methinks 'tis time to smile again," truly is an emotional roller coaster, going from besotted love to cutting sarcasm to almost weeping, and having that ability of the poise was made it so much clearer, so much easier to make what were almost like, what do they call it when they do a really sharp U-turn?
Hairpin turn or something like that?
Yeah, hairpin turn. Those two speeches are full of hairpin turns. And without the technique of the poise, it would have been much, much more difficult to even approach getting to that kind of being able to, because you're thinking as you're speaking. Yes. And feeling as you're speaking, and particularly in Shakespeare. And that for me was probably the most critical revelation for me, which I will definitely utilize.
Good.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, if the cast can stay right here, and I'll as I wrap things up, I do want to say, so I'm really thrilled that we were able to do this repertory thing. And again, if you haven't already got your ticket, you can sign up and come back on Thursday and watch the same company of actors do all Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And the plan right now is we're going to take the summer off, and then September, we're going to do something new. We're going to work on Chekhov. We're going to try some Chekhov. And it looks like Libby Apple is going to be leading those sessions. And if you're unfamiliar with Libby, she's the former artistic director of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, former artistic director of Indiana Repertory Theater, former dean of theater at Cal Arts. She's a Kennedy Center Award winner. So, and she has had this, as she calls it, lifelong love affair with Chekhov. She has written translations of the plays, which we're going to use. So that's what's coming up. Really excited to just kind of keep exploring and seeing what we can do and bring these kinds of people, together. So, if that is, of interest to you, we'd love to have you, part of that, whether you're attending or be part of the scenes. And we'll have more information as we get closer, but so thrilled you could be part of this. So again, thank you all for attending. What's that, Liz?
I said they can be sisters.
Yeah, there we go. We got 2 of the 3 sisters.
There you
Perfect.
go.
Or maybe all 3.
Janet,
We can do 4 sisters or something. Yeah.
No problem.
Well, you got to have Natasha.
There's
too.
Natasha.
You got to have the sister-in-law.
Right.
So you, there we are. Here we are, right here. Bang.
Good.
No pressure, Nick.
Oh,
Well,
got them all.
Yeah, no pressure. Well, thank you all for attending. Really, really thank you. If the actors can stay put, let's see, we'll kind of wrap it up for right now. Again, thank you for being part of this repertory presentation today.